Hello, all, and thank you for joining us today. We wait for everyone to get admitted, get inside of the meeting, and all of that. I'll go ahead and share the mural link in addition to my screen, which is the mural. So, as last time, which you may remember if you came to last time's session, can you guys see my screen? Wonderful. We are now using Mural. So my presentation, rather than PowerPoint, is right here in Mural. Everything on the right in blue, you guys can interact with. Add your text notes, do what you want to do. Notice the ones up here on the left, we've categorized in different colors based off of your discipline, nice little symbols. So hopefully it's obvious with the color. Those ones are locked, those for reference only. There are two groups below that you can copy from. Mural is new to most. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna take it on BIMxt, right? I'm just gonna copy it with Control-C, Control-V, and now I can use that as a topic. Lots of different things over there you can engage with that I'll talk about in just a moment. BIMxt network is comprised of multiple different Revit advisory groups. I will also mention that Mural, most of these are links. So the images here, if you double click, will actually take you to the LinkedIn page, the Twitter page, what have you. So make sure you engage with the different images if they are in fact links. There are multiple, oh, look at that. I have something that's not locked. See, I'm moving something around. There are multiple advisors that help run this group. So we definitely have a lot of different people that contribute to this group and the presentations. Today, we will be talking about Revit data manipulation. So how we can manipulate data inside of Revit, whether it's with schedules, whether it's with Dynamo. Pervy is going to talk through schedules. You can see there that she's going to talk through a few different things, schedule best practices, areas, rooms, so lots of different things that we can do with schedules to manipulate data. I'm going to talk about Dynamo, depending on how much we get through in the 15 minutes we have or how many questions come through. I will possibly get through 2 scripts, and we will somehow share those with you guys as well. Over on the right, once again, this is where you guys can engage. It's not the presentation, if you will. Please engage, let us know the feeling that you're representing. You can see I put myself next to here to network, right? So make sure you check out all of those. We also would love your input in terms of future topics you're tired of seeing, any questions that you have for us as presenters, info you'd like to share, and a bunch of additional poll questions, including your location. So make sure you share where you're calling from today down in the bottom left-hand corner. Without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing and we'll push it over to Pervy. Hey, Pervy, how are you doing today?
Hey, hi, Dana. Doing well. I'm excited to be here. It's always fun to be here and to share stuff, especially about schedules, because everyone who knows me knows how much I love schedules.
That is something that goes hand in hand with the name Purvi.
so yeah. So
however, I will say I know for a fact you are wonderful at all things Revit.
I try. So I see a lot of friends on the call. So hey, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, just a quick bio from me. So I actually work at CAD Micro. I've been here for about 5.5 years now. Before that, I worked at a preservation firm in DC. So my background is in both architecture and historic preservation. I've been using Revit since 2008, and pretty much every project I ever did in practice was an existing building. So I learned a lot about modeling existing buildings. I kind of jumped in, had a feet first, 2008, 11 of us who had never done Revit before all did a Revit project together. So that was super fun. And we learned a lot from that project. And it kind of made me realize how much I love the software and how much I love the data side and the database side of it. So that kind of rolls into the structure, the schedules, and how much I love to kind of work with that data that's inside of Revit itself. So I'm going to just jump right into what I want to talk to you all about. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. Everybody see a beautiful schedule on the screen? Uh-oh, did I just freeze?
It is a bit frozen. Oh, got it.
Okay. It's good now? Okay, yeah, I think it just took a second. All right, let me move this over here.
It's probably Zoom.
Yeah, everything kind of like stopped for a second. What's happening? All right. So I want to start with just some general best practices. I am a huge proponent of kind of helping everybody who works with you understand what you're doing, because Revit is a very collaborative software. I mean, you can't, I always tell my users when I'm teaching Revit level 1, Revit doesn't require less communication, it actually requires more, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. We always want to communicate. So I carry that over into my schedules. So if you look at the schedule that you see here, you're going to see that there are colors everywhere, right? I like to use the colors to help me identify what different parameters are for. So that's one of my first kind of general tips, is use colors. Put colors on there. I usually will leave the columns white that are the ones that are going to show up in a sheet schedule, and then the ones that are used for calculated values or used for sorting and grouping or things like that, I might make them other colors just so that I know that those are ones that I don't necessarily want to see on my sheet, right?
And this is just like Dynamo.
Colors are good.
Colors are good. Group things.
Exactly.
We're designers, architects, engineers. We like colors.
We do.
How do you allude to these? Do you, maybe like a start page would be awesome, right?
If yeah. So sometimes I'll actually, and that's something I was going to show you, is up here in the header, I might add some information about what the different colors mean. Or I might have on my homepage, maybe there's a key to what the colors mean. I just try to be as consistent as possible. So for example, in this particular schedule, this B, right, is the level parameter, and that is one that's just information pulled directly from the model, right, pulled from the objects. These white ones are ones that are going to go on my sheet when I make the sheet version of the schedule, right? So that's the other thing. I always have working and sheet versions of my schedules, just like you would for a plan, right? Because you want to have sort of the messy, see everything one, and then the pretty one that goes on the sheet that's print ready at all times. And then all these green ones are actually calculated value parameters that are being used to calculate an average. And this, I'm not going to get too much into this because I actually have shown this in other places, but I'm happy to share it with folks later on if you want it. I didn't make it up. I actually got it from other people who shared it with me, and then I've kind of run with it. So that's the other thing that's great about this sort of stuff, is that we all share information with each other all the time, like we're doing here. And then this yellow one is just sort of the total, the final value that all of these ones are needed to make. It's a very complicated process. So that's kind of the first thing. But one thing related to that, so in your header, right, you can, or your title, right, you can actually do things like add columns and rows. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but it's just sort of this weird little tricky thing that you have inside of here. So for example, if I click, up here in this title, I can go over here and I can actually insert a row. And it actually inserts a row in my header. So then I can go in here and I can actually add information, additional information about what's going on in here. So, I could pull this over here and sort of kind of move these around, and then use this to kind of like type in here and say, these go on the sheet, and like stuff like that. So that's sort of just a little bit of general stuff I want to show. And in case you don't know how to make the columns colors, if you just highlight one, you go up here to shading and you pick your color. Now you can do the same thing up here, right? In any of these cells, like I can click here, I can hit shading, and I can pick a color, and it's going to shade just that cell. So there's a lot of options here. I highly recommend colors all over your working schedule so that people know that these are the working ones. Do not put these ones on the sheets. So the other One last thing, which is sort of some relatively new feature, is this freeze header button. They just added this, I think, in like 20 or 21. And it's really great because, as you can see, my schedule is really long. As I scroll, I'll zoom in. As I scroll down, it keeps my headers in place, which is not like magic, considering Excel has done it since the beginning of time. But when they added it to Revit, it was great. So freeze headers, and now they're not frozen, right? And then the other thing that was added in, I think, 21 and then enhanced in 22 was if you go to the Appearance tab, you can actually stripe your rows over here. And you can pick the 2 different colors that you want. So you have a first row and a second row. And then you can actually choose whether you want to see that striping show on the sheet or not. So I feel like this is the only thing that doesn't show on the sheet if you don't want it to, right? Everything else, the way you see it here is the way you see it on the sheet. So if I just turn that on to the default, you'll see I get kind of a light gray and a white alternating, right? So that is the kind of basics of my best practices. But now I want to jump into some of the data manipulation part, which is really the meat of what we want to talk about here. So when you look at the schedule, this is an area schedule. Okay, so it's based off of an area plan. Area plans, right, are a way for you to manually quantify the square footage of your building. And I say square footage because in Revit, right, there's area with a capital A and then there's area with a small a. Area with a capital A is this whole workflow with special guided plans where you draw boundaries and you place areas inside of them, right? So what it is if I look at this plan over here, right, these purple lines that you see are area boundaries, right? And you place the boundaries, and the boundaries then create the borders for what are called areas, right? So all of these inside of here, these are the areas. You don't actually have to have any architecture, right? Any model geometry to use areas. So they're really great for just general space planning or test fits or anything like that, because you can just draw a bunch of boundaries, plunk those areas in, and then you can utilize all of the data manipulation parts of Revit to do all of this planning sort of stuff. So I think they're really great from that regard. So I've made all these areas. I made sort of a dummy floor plan in here, but I'm going to go back to here. So when I look at my units matrix, okay, most of my clients that do multi-story residential want to have it in this format, where there's a column that tells you what the unit type is, and then you have like maybe an average area that you might see, and then you want to see how many there are per level, right? Now, everyone knows Revit doesn't like to do this, right? The levels like to go horizontally and sort of group things together like the way they are here. But there's a workflow that you can use with calculated values to actually flip your levels to be columns instead of rows. And so each of these is a calculated value. But the reason that they all say 0 right now is that it works off of a manual parameter. And that is this one here called scheduled level. All right. I have not filled this value in intentionally because part of what I wanted to show today was how you can use schedules to quickly apply data to a bunch of objects at the same time. Okay, so if you look over here, right, this entire column is empty. What we need to do is I actually need to put a 1 in here, and I need to put a 2 in all of these, and a 3 in all of these, and a 4 in all of these, and so on and so forth. I could go, one way I could do it is I could actually open up a plan. I could select all of the areas. I could filter it, right? Do check none, pick my areas, and then I could fill in that value over here, right? I could do that. And that would work perfectly fine, right? And it fills in that value. But that's a lot of steps. So there's actually a faster way to do it via your schedule. And it all has to do with sorting and grouping. So I'm going to go into my sorting and grouping tab, okay? And areas know what level they're on, right? So this is an actual value. So I have it sorted by level and then by name. I'm going to just take off the name, and I'm going to unitemize my entire schedule. I'll just turn this header off too. So what it's going to do, it's going to take all the areas that are in level 1 and put them in one row. Same for 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So I'm going to do that. Oh, sorry. Maybe it was itemized. It wasn't itemized. There we go. Okay. So now I can go in here and I just type 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? And you'll see that these values sort of filled in automatically. And then I'm going to go back and change my sorting and grouping back to level and name. Okay. And let's do a header here. Okay. And now you can see, if you look in these columns, that this value, this information has been filled in per level, per the type. And you can sort it different ways. So let's say that instead of it being this way, we want to see it by we actually want to see it by the name, right? Because that's how we want to combine it. And we have to take off some other things. There we go. So now we can say, okay, we have A1, there's 2 on level 2, 2 on 3, 2 on 4, 2 on 5, right? And we can kind of see that information as we go across. Does that all make sense, hopefully, to everybody? So it's all about sorting and grouping to quickly fill in information so that you can edit it in an efficient way. All right. So then the next piece I want to talk about here is also with area schedules, but this is related to occupancy, right? So we have to do occupancy calculations, and area schedules, area plans are great for that because you draw the boundaries of the different occupancy types, and then you can assign them their type, and then we need to figure out the occupants, right? And so this is another way that you can use Revit, and you can use what's called a key schedule. So a key schedule in Revit is kind of like a way to preset some values, and then you assign that key to an object and it fills out all those values for you. All right, so over here, if I go to this schedule right here, this is my occupancy schedule, occupancy type schedule, right? So I have the name, which is the occupancy type. I have a text version, and then I have that factor, right? That I'm going to divide the square footage by to get the number of occupants that I'm going to have. So going back to here, let's make it bigger. This, not that one. Right here is this parameter right here, and let's make it a different color so that we know that's what it's for. This parameter is that key parameter, right? If I change this to none, notice that it sort of wipes out these values, right? If I change it back to, the value, I don't know what I had it as before. Okay, it fills it back in. So what it's doing is it's saying, here's that area, which is coming from the actual Revit area with a big A, right, that we put in our model. Here's that factor. And then this is just a calculated value parameter that's taking this one, dividing it by this one, and giving me the number of occupants, right? And so if I needed to change what a room was, so let's say that this one isn't business anymore, it's, I don't know, art residential or whatever, I could change it, and then it would just update that information and fill it out for me automatically. And if, let's say, the code changes or I had it wrong or something, I can go into here and I can just change what this factor is. So let's say that this is supposed to be 50 instead, right? And I go back here and it's updated it to 50, and it's updated the occupants. So key schedules are a great way to quickly update information, for a variety of things. And we could also do that here. If you wanted to, let's say you had a room with a specific name and it all needed to be the same area style. You could do sorting by name, right? Not itemize it, make them all the same area style, just like we did for the unit matrix. Okay, let's see. All right, and then the last, so then I want to jump over to a room schedule because I want to talk about a similar way of using these key schedules with rooms, right? So often with rooms, you may have a specific type of room, right, that has the same finishes. So all of my men's rooms have the same finish. All my women's rooms have the same finish. All of my executive offices or or just maybe all of my bathrooms all have the same finish. It's not specific one way or the other, or maybe I do it by floor. Maybe we have a building with like color schemes in different sections and you want to be able to easily change that information. The beauty of it doing it here is that this column right here, right, is that key value. And inside that schedule, we've designated what the different finishes are, okay? And so then all we have to do is go over here and say, well, this is a conference room. So, okay, it's this conference room. And as soon as I do that, it fills out all this information. And then if I realize that I need to change one of the finishes, I just go here. And let's say this is actually going to be, PT12. I do PT12 there. I go back to my room schedule and it updates it right there, right? So I can very easily add this information and update this information as I see fit, as I need to for what I'm doing, right? And here we can also do the same sorting and grouping to apply information across a variety of things. One way that I've seen this actually work really well is that first Revit project I ever worked on, we had, a lot of different finishes, and through the VE process, we had to eliminate a bunch of them. And because we had set up our finish schedule, like our room schedule this way, it was very easy for us to update the room style schedule, the key schedule, and then have that just trickle across the entire schedule very easily. So, and then I just really have just like one last thing that I do want to show you all, which is not necessarily related to the schedule piece of it, but it's a fun little trick to have, what Revit does by itself work with us. And I'm going to show you this because I think that it's just a fun thing to know how to do. So if you look at this floor, okay, and this is not a real building, but I was just sort of trying to populate the same rooms, like you may have an office building or a building where it's the same floor plate all the way up, and you just want to quickly populate the rooms, but you don't want to have to sit and renumber them all. So I'm going to show you this fun trick that I've discovered. So I'm going to take this room, okay, and it's 401. I'm going to copy it to my clipboard, and then I'm going to go to the 5th floor. All right, I'm going to paste it to the same spot. All right. Oh, not same spot, sorry. To this view. Paste, align to current view. Okay, and then I'm going to change this to be 501, okay? All right, so we know that Revit rooms like to automatically number, right? And they like to automatically number starting from the next number after the last one that you did. So this is 501, so I want all the rest of these to auto number. If I go to my 4th floor again, you're going to see it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it kind of goes in a zigzag pattern for the numbering. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select all of these other rooms, use my filter, and just get the names and the tags and copy those to my clipboard. And then when I go to level 5 and I say paste, align to current view, it's actually going to number them consecutively, automatically in the same order. So that's just like
that
a
was
fun
too
trick.
Fast. Can you show that again? Not the copying part, the renumbering part.
Yeah, so literally all I did was I copied this one. So yeah, let me just undo it so that it does all the stuff. So I'm going to copy this one, right?
So you went through and you numbered all of your level 4 rooms the way you want them.
Yeah, so I started it actually with level 1. So when I placed my level 1 rooms, I placed 101 and then I placed them in order so that it auto numbered for me, right? And then I just copied the first one for the next floor, right? So I copied this one to my clipboard, and then I went to the next level and I pasted, paste aligned to current view so that it put it in the same spot. And then I just renumbered this one to be 501 because it's the first one on the 5th floor, right? And then I went back to level 4 and I selected all the other rooms, right? We hold down Control to add to our selection. I use filter. This is our filter plus if you've never seen it. It'll still work with the regular out of the box filter. And then I just did Control C again to copy it to my clipboard. Then I went back to level 5 and I went to the paste and did aligned to current view. And because of how Revit likes to auto number, it auto numbered them in the same order that I had initially numbered them, which was across the top and then like in a zigzag through the building. So I actually like figured that out as I was putting this together to like quickly populate my dumb schedule or my, you know, but it totally like makes it so much faster and you don't have to think about renumbering everything. Now, I don't know how applicable it really would be because I don't know how many times you're working in a building where like every single floor plate has the exact same rooms in the exact same order, but I'm sure that, you know, there are a lot of really smart people on this call who could figure out other ways to utilize, you know, these fun little data manipulation type tricks. So
well, that's all I had for now. Certainly learned some stuff. I didn't know that you could put another row in a header. Did you guys know that? That's mind blower for me. That's pretty cool. I guess it's because I'm out of production now. Those are like the things that I just don't tinker with anymore. But man, is that cool?
Well, it's been around for a while. And actually, so the funny thing is I think right before the pandemic, there's like a firm that I assist quite often where I used to go on site once a week for a day. And one of the folks there found it and was like doing it. And I was like, what are you doing? And she was like, look at this thing I found. And I was like, whoa, this is really cool. I was like, but stop doing it for a minute and let me and the BIM manager like figure out if it's going to break anything before you do anything else. And the BIM manager hadn't seen it either. And the two of us like looked at it and we're like, this is really cool. And I think one of my colleagues here at CAD had seen it before, but most of us hadn't seen it before. And once we realized that it wasn't going to break anything, we're like, this is awesome. I mean, you could even use that for like just a fake schedule. Like if you, I mean, I put it into templates for like, just like the basic project information, right? Where you need to have the same set of cells and you just
almost
need to
kind
fill
of
them
like
out.
what Sticky does, right? I mean, Sticky's basically just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So it is a pain to update though. So that is one thing I will tell you is that it's good to use for things that don't need to change ever. But if you do need to like add rows or delete rows or move things around, it's kind of a pain.
So there is one question specifically for schedules. I'm going to go ahead and throw it at you.
Yeah.
So specific to the revisions to sheet schedule, Joseph asks, we tried implementing a yes/no instance parameter that will show a dot in another column. So it's pretty. I totally get it, right? Mm-hmm. Been there.
Yep.
I hate those arguments. Is there a way to use a formula that register it's blocked there. Hold on. Relevant, maybe revision to make the yes/no parameter check itself. So could you basically say if the revision is told to be yes, then make that dot or yes, yes, right?
Yeah. So what that would be here, let's
there is an amazing website, right? For formulas. I'm going to share it in the chat.
I don't have any sheets in here, but I'm just going to add a bunch just to be able to like make a schedule. Okay, so let's make a schedule. View schedules, sheet list. Just gonna add the number and the name and say okay. And then let's say that I want to add and usually, so I'm going to do this on the fly. It's going to be messy. You would usually have this set properly in your schedule. I am very much against like actually making new parameters from here. I always tell people to make them from the parameter dialog because that way, if you have the same parameter that you want to use for like multiple categories, you can set it there. But I'm doing this quickly just to show the workflow, but I typically don't like using this. I usually tell people to make it from the main parameter box, but we're just going to do it this way.
Sometimes you got to break your rules. We get it.
For the purposes of learning. So this is going to be a yes/no parameter. And we can group it. We think about that logically, but I'm going to make a couple of these. All right. So these are my yes/no parameters. I think I called that. I didn't make that one the right category. Did it do it? Oh, no. Okay. Sorry. Delete that one. Let's try it again. That's what happens when I click too quickly. All right, so we have these checkboxes, right? But when you put these checkboxes on your page, it says yes and no, which is like the silliest thing. And so what we're going to do instead is we're going to do a calculated value. So calculated value, and we call it like revision 1 graphic. And then we're going to make it a, I think we can do text and say if revision 1, or just, I guess it's just, I'm going to do if revision, no, you do. 1 second. I don't remember now. I know I've done this. It's just been a while.
Putting her on the spot.
I know.
I like it. Sometimes we need that, right? A little challenge.
So otherwise, and let's see if this works. And I gotta go to character map. Find my dot. This thing is never organized. I can never find things in here, I swear. It's like, where are the dots? All right, let's make it a smiley face just for fun. Let's see if this works.
Yeah, Dan is totally right. As he says, the best part about Revit is even users that have used it for years can learn new things about Revit.
It's true.
I learned, this is like the most miraculous thing that I learned recently while you're doing that. In the material dialog box, there's a little tiny button, of course, in Revit that is in the bottom corner to open all of the custom parameters. Blew my mind. Love that stuff. I love to learn things in Revit, or like that little button that you never knew existed. You're like, is that new?
There we go.
And of course it's not new. It's been there forever.
All right, so here, I'm going to show this to everybody.
It was also asked how you're zooming, and thank you so much for answering that in the chat.
Control and then the wheel on your mouse. Control and the wheel on your mouse.
I will say mine's inconsistent on my computer. I haven't really figured out why. And if I was in schedules more often where I needed to present them, I would totally figure that out.
So not only does it do it in schedules though, it does it in your properties too. Look. Whee.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah. And like if you're in like, for example, I'm going to show this to you because it's fun. If you're in like the I'm pretty sure if you're in like the properties, it does it there too. Or if you're in like the structure of the
and
walls,
I love how they've started to make a lot more of the windows. You can expand them.
Yeah,
where
like
sometimes you literally couldn't read the full view template name. It's like I have multiple with the same name, just like a last suffix that's different. And I can't read the whole thing. Like what is going on Autodesk? So these like little improvements are game changers.
Totally. Here, I'm gonna show this formula one more time just so that people understand.
So Joseph said that it changed your parameter to image. But that is really cool. I see how essentially you're checking the revision and it's automatically checking the revision 1 graphic.
Yeah, so I can't make this bigger, but it says if revision 1, then in quotation marks, you have to paste the little symbol, right? And if not, then you just do quotation space quotation, so it won't do anything. And it's a text parameter. But it
looks like a text parameter, Joseph.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And so that's all you have to do. And so then you can put like your little whatever symbol you want to use.
A great trick. And then of course you can just hide the revision 1 column, right?
Exactly.
Like this can be a working schedule. You duplicate this one and hide, of course you have your beautiful colors.
Yep.
That say this one's for the sheet.
And here's the trick, right? So like I need to make it for like a bunch, right? So I literally just copied this from the other one and then I pasted it in here and I just changed the number for you, right? And then
you got it.
And I have to make sure that I make a text. And then it made the second one, right? And so then you just click that.
There we go.
So, and then, and
use a frowny face for unchecked, Jason says.
We could do a frowny face for unchecked.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. Don't print it half scale. You wouldn't be able to tell them apart.
I know, right? But yeah. And I would definitely like use colors. Like these are the ones that aren't getting on the sheets, right? And then, we could change this one And this could have like, SD submission, I can capitalize things, and like DD submission, or whatever. And you could add the dates and all that fun stuff and have those show up on your sheet.
Another schedule question. Is there a way to get the checkbox to populate the yes, no based on a current revision parameter? I think it's kind of the same question.
So if we have like this, if we have this one added and we want to use current revision, well, because this gets filled in with like a date, right? It doesn't get filled in with like a yes, no, right? Doesn't it?
I think maybe he's adding to it. I like it, visiting Al/Joseph. That's awesome. Keep doing that. And please, you guys that are in the chat, go to the mural. Throw stuff in there. Mural's awesome. We love things. There's a questions for presenters area in there. We'll still answer your questions from the chat in Zoom, obviously. But there is another one, I believe. Okay, maybe not. Just a lot of comments about how awesome that is. And Allison just shared the mural link. Thank you, Allison. So for those of you who are not on Mural, make sure you get on there, because I'm actually going to be showing my presentation for Mural, part of it at least.
I'm going to try this because I've not tried this before. And it might not work.
Pervy, do you have any favorite 3D party tools for managing Revit data?
Third-party tools?
I know you can use like designer pages. That's really the only one that comes to mind.
I don't think I try to do as much of it inside of Revit as possible, just because most of my clients are still like learning extra things, and so I'm trying to use the software as much as possible. But I definitely use, well, actually one thing I do use, which is a free one, is the import export Excel, and it's free, but it doesn't use every single category. You can't use it with every category, but you can use it with generic annotations. If you're doing no block schedules, you can use it with sheet lists. You can use it, I'm pretty sure you can use it with like most other categories of things. And so it makes it really easy to export it to Excel to quickly fill out a bunch of information. So like, for example, when I do a material schedule in Revit, it's a no block schedule. And I have like a little generic annotation family that has all of that information that lives in it. And so it's a quick way to fill out material information. You can export it to Excel, fill it all in, and then it just brings it back in. Let's see if this will work. Yeah, I don't think this will work, because I have no idea what, maybe it's just a number. No, I think it's because this revision column, I don't think it's like a thing that you can actually, or the current revision, I don't think you can actually put it in a formula. Oh no, you can. Huh, I don't know. I guess you have to figure out, is it an integer? This might be something I have to figure out and let you guys know.
She will share on the LinkedIn page. Yeah,
I'm not sure what type of parameter current revision is to be able to manipulate it. I mean, it lets you put it in a formula because you can pick it from, from this list, but I have no idea what it needs to be. I think it would just need to be text, but.
So I just put in to the chat my link, which shows you how to use Dynamo to export and import data from Excel. But there is a comment that Carmine shared. Thank you so much, Carmine. D roots. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing that.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's DI roots.
And sheet link are free.
There you go.
She's exploring DB link and get into other database tools.
Yeah, so it's I don't, let's see, do I have it? I don't think I have it in 22, the import export Excel. Let's see, I have this other thing open. Maybe it's in here.
Yeah, Joseph, she'll have to
it's right
get
here.
back
So
to you
it's
on that.
this
He says
one.
that he's getting the inconsistent units as well.
Yeah, I have to play with it a little bit more to see if we can actually pull from this one or not. But I guess this really depends on how you're using revisions, because if you're using revisions for submissions, that's different than if you're using revisions for actual revisions. So, and I have my own opinion on using revisions for submissions. So,
right. Everybody does, right? I feel like everybody has their own way. I mean, at Smith Group, we're so big, there's probably 15 ways that we manage sheets, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just the way it's going to happen.
Exactly.
So, awesome. Well, without further ado, I am going to jump over to my portion of the presentation. Thank you so much, Purvi. I learned some stuff. I'm sure you guys learned some stuff. I know Dan learned some stuff. So definitely really, really cool stuff with schedules. And I love that's like one of the greatest things about Revit 2022. All of these schedule enhancements, right? Real game changers that we're getting. So let me pick the right screen here and I will share. One thing I also shared on the mural, and I will share it on the chat, is this Revit Forum page. I've used it so many times for formulas. I'm not sure why it's not the first one to come up. Somebody paid Google to get theirs first or something, but this page is amazing. It's been up there since, 2011, right? And these things still, I've done some really crazy, like Pythagorean theorem level formulas based off of this page. It's amazing. Definitely an amazing page to share. So I will share that in the chat as well. Or Allison, can you do that really quick since I'm about to present? The link also is on the image. So if you double click on the image in Mural, it will take you there. To that page. Really fantastic. Make sure you put that under your Revit favorites. That is one, the Revit formulas for everyday usage. It's literally what it's called. And it's, 10 years old, tried and true. So definitely check that out. And I locked it. So you guys can't do anything with it, at least the image. My note box looks like it's gotten messed up a few times. That's okay. The image itself is actually the link. So you guys are good there. All right, without further ado, I'm going to talk about how we can use Dynamo in somewhat of a basic way. For those of you who are not Dynamo users, I shared a link already to my Dynamo BIM channel, which I realized I haven't really introduced myself. My name is Dana Filippi. For those of you guys who do not know me, I'm based out of the Washington, D.C. area, recently moved to Virginia with the COVID happenings and such. I work at Smith Group as a computational leader. My passion is Dynamo, making Revit users more efficient, how we can save time with those mundane tasks, get the computer to do it, right? Rather than us with our eyeballs going back and forth, right? I hate that. Those are the ones where you start to go blurry. But some of those schedule tasks, if a schedule can do it, I will definitely push it onto a schedule. So that is fantastic. I love schedules. Schedules, I always say, are the way to master Revit. Once you master schedules, you are well on your way to mastering Revit. Now with Dynamo, once you've mastered your schedules, you're going to jump into Dynamo, because Dynamo allows us to do what schedules can't. It allows us to look at information in a really intricate way and do something with that data. So you can see here, and for most of my users at Smith Group, I actually have them interfaced through Dynamo Player. So here on the left, I'm showing you what is actually within Dynamo. You can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 nodes that are doing the work for me, and 2 that are actually reporting how many elements were updated. So really basic script here. What we're doing is we are basically specifying a category of elements to update, right? So whether it's sheets, whether it's rooms, doors, whatever it might be, we are getting all of the elements of that category, just like you would in a schedule, right? So when I create a schedule of quantities of sheets, I'm going to get all the sheets. That's exactly what these 2 nodes do. Right? Getting a category, getting all of the elements of the category. Here, this is just like me asking for a field. right? Get parameter value by name. And here I'm actually allowing the Revit user to tell me what string instance or text, as we were just seeing with Pervy, we need a text parameter that we're updating because we can't uppercase non-text parameters, right? In Dynamo, they're referred to as strings. It's kind of the code verbiage, if you will. What I'm doing is I'm basically taking that string and making it uppercase. And that's actually an out of the box node. And then I'm setting that parameter by name. So you can see here, I'm just feeding in that same parameter that we're asking for, right? It's being fed into both places there. And I'm feeding in that upper value, right? And then it tells me as a user how many elements have been updated. So you can see here within Dynamo Player, which I've set this script up to be played inside of, my user has 2 inputs, right? And you can see here, just like Pervy, I color code. My pink are inputs that are essentially interfacing, right? And so it's the category and I'm missing one. Oh, no, they're just in different order, right? String instance to update and the category to update, right? So I actually pointed to the wrong thing. Sorry there, guys. Put this together kind of quickly. And then the number of elements that are being updated, right? So you can see here when I press play, this automatically updates my sheets. In this case, in the sample file, I have 2, right? But in architectural models, do we just have 2? Maybe when we start a model, right? In our template, we probably don't even have 2, right? So this will update all sheets to be uppercase. So relatively easy script. Once again, I've created it so that it is Dynamo playerable, if you will, and relatively easy for my users to interface with. So drum roll here. I'm going to try to do it. You can see here, I have my lowercase information to update the inputs. I hit the pencil. Dang it, it's going to take me a second here, but I'm going to hit edit inputs, which essentially is a little dialogue that looks like a number slider. We're going to click on that, and that will allow me to update the inputs. The pencil, which I hit, edits the script in Dynamo. So let me close that because that's opening up on my other screen. And then I'll click the edit inputs. Here we go. So change case upper. So I can come in here and I can change a few things, right? Let's change room names to be uppercase. They're lowercase as well, right? Maybe it takes a second for Dynamo to understand what those inputs are, right? So we can say sheet name, press play, and we should see these sheets update, and our watch says 2. Yay, live demo, it worked. All right, so let's, for a real challenge here, because I didn't even test this beforehand. Rooms, and it's just name. Okay, so rooms, and it's just name. Now, it is case sensitive. Dynamo does care. Oh, it worked again. Love it. Love it. So you can see here on my plan, all of my room names are now uppercase, right? So easy way for you. At Smith Group, I actually have a toggle in here so that you can specify whether you want lower, title, or upper. So I've made the script a little bit more complex, which is totally possible, so that I don't have to create 3 scripts, right? 3 separate scripts, one for upper, one for lower, one for title. I've just essentially added a toggle in here. So let me know if that's really interesting to you. Maybe I'll do a YouTube video about it on how we change case. Let's see here. We have 11 minutes left. Let me check the mural here, make sure we're not getting any questions.
There was one question I missed about the schedules that I did answer in the text, but I'm happy to show it for all to make it make it easier to see if you want to. There was a question about how do you get your occupancy numbers to round up to the nearest whole person, and you just put a round up in your formula, and I can show it if folks want me to. It's just like it's the same as if you were to type it in Excel.
I'm sure it's in the page that I
Oh,
shared.
it definitely is.
It is 100% in there on how to round up. You literally put round up and then
just like
parentheses around everything else, just like in Excel. You got it.
Yeah, round up, round down, both of those work.
Within, you can do it within schedules. We can also double verify values within Dynamo. I've also seen really complex schedules that use ratios, because when you have, multiple business areas on one floor, they're flattening them into one area and using that as one total area rather than individual areas, and then doing the math on those whole people. So you can also look at it at ratios. I'm sure if you Google ratios and occupancy Revit, you'd find it. I didn't create this workflow. It's something somebody else has done. So definitely check that out. That, believe me, it's like sheet indexes. we could go on for 20 minutes or more just about calculations on occupancy and how to round or not round, or to use decimals or to not use decimals. So definitely. Dan has a question. Do you have your scripts dump into a central log? Yes. At Smith Group, we actually are very lucky to have a development team. So they've written a really simple node that essentially pushes all of that information to a central server. Now, with that being said, I absolutely love Orchestra. Another thing I'm going to share here, Orchestra allows you to manage your Dynamo scripts across your firm it's Orchestra with a K, very easily. And not only does it allow you to manage your scripts and push them out to your entire firm, which is also a challenge, right? Because we don't want to use a shared network in most cases. How do we, get everyone the same list of Dynamo Player scripts? How do we get everybody the same list of packages? All of that. The answer is totally Orchestra. So I will share a link over here next to my other link, so that we can look at that. That's a really, really fantastic program. And in addition to that, it logs all that data. So you can see who's running what, how many times it's been run, how maybe even how long it took to run, all of these really wonderful things. So once again, in the Mural, give me a second, I'm adding the link here. In addition, even more, right? It's like, and it does more. I've been watching Shark Tank lately. It will also allow you to link to, stop moving it. It will also allow you to link to resources. So, if you have an uppercase script, maybe somebody wants to know more information about that. You can link an article to it, or, whatever it might be. Orchestra is amazing. So I will share that in our chat as well, so that those of you who are not on Mural can get to that. Really, really wonderful way of managing your scripts and, managing everything about it. It's just so wonderful. Mustafa, who actually is the creator of the Dynamo package Data Shapes, is behind that. He is fantastic. He is a BIM warrior. Really, he is really, really fantastic. So definitely check that out. Check out the Revit usage. So we have 6 more minutes. You guys seeing any questions that I'm not seeing by chance? I don't think I'm missing any. Oh, I did it again. It's, I'm always editing the scripts, not running them. That's why I always the pencil. But this next script that I'm going to run will allow you to renumber elements. Now, there are a lot of different ways that you can use ideate tools, or, draw a line and use that within Dynamo to dictate the order of, how the rooms are going to be numbered, etc. But this will actually do it based off of element ID. So if you're like Pervy, which you should be, and you you place your rooms in a sequential order, your elements will essentially have that order in their element ID. And so they'll essentially remember that. So you can see here, if I hit the edit inputs, we're not edit in Dynamo. But essentially, this allows you to edit a category of elements based off of a parameter that you specify, and changes them based off of that level. So it counts how many elements you have and then pushes them out to a different number. So you can see here for my sample, within the sample, I've changed all of my room numbers to 0. So I have lots of warnings, right? Bad news. So I want to update rooms and their number on entry level 1, press play, and we get all of our unique room numbers. Right now, I don't have any more warnings related to these rooms. And this script is a little bit more complex. I definitely cannot explain it in 4 minutes. However, selfless plug again, there is a Dynamo video on how to do this. It's one of my earlier Dynamo scripts. So make sure you go on to my site, shared it earlier, maybe about 7 chats above on the YouTube channel that I posted. Make sure you follow that. It's also on the Mural. All of my information, if you want to follow me, in addition to Pervy, these are in fact links. So make sure that you follow us, check out what we're doing. Purvi started a really cool blog. So make sure you check out her blog. We should have posted that here, the link for your blog here, but you can definitely see more information about that in her Twitter. Purvi, any last things that we're seeing, or anything last things? Oh, we actually got a question right then.
Oh.
Purvi, how did you schedule beginning of the webinar?
Nested schedules.
I think he's talking about adding the row in the header.
Oh,
I was blown away by that too.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm
share. Happy to show that. Yeah.
I was blown away by that too. I almost asked you to do it again. I was like, wait,
all right.
what?
Yeah, totally. Okay, here, let me share my screen.
Let me know if that was not what you're referring to, Jameer, in terms of the
I have to
nested
say
schedule.
The Zoom thing. Okay, there's my chat. I'm like, I lose the chat when I share. Okay, so all you do is you click in the title, okay, and then up here, you're gonna have an insert right here for rows, and you're gonna have an insert here for columns. So you can just hit this insert for rows and just say like above or below. And below is just gonna stick it like right under there. Now, here's the weird thing. I have no idea how many. I think
That's
it decides.
So weird.
So what I'm thinking is I think that it decides to just make it however many, like the initial number of columns you had when you made your schedule. That's the only thing I can think of. I have not tested it to see if that is the truth, but that is my guess right now, is that that is like what it does. So it's really annoying. And yeah, and if you add other columns and stuff, it doesn't keep the lines where they are, which is why I'm saying it's super fussy. And it's good for if you're not going to be adding more columns, because you just sort of set it and leave it. So for working schedules, it's great, right? Like for, I will do this when I'm teaching, like when I'm making templates and there's a very specific workflow, and like these columns are for this and this columns are for this and this is this. I'm a huge proponent of putting as many instructions as possible in the template, because the fewer places people have to go to find the instructions, the more likely they are to actually use them. So,
but if you wanted it to be the same number of rows, columns, you could just
insert like that. Okay. And then you just have to like move them around, and they don't really snap or anything. So you just sort of have to
eyeball it.
I mean, you can. So if you wanted them to
those people that like those dots in their revision schedule, let me tell you, they're not going to like that.
Well, I mean, you can do that and hit resize. And then like, if you resize it just like a little bit, like, a little bit bigger, oops, sorry, let's make it a little bit bigger. It will like evenly space, or maybe it has to be smaller. I don't remember. Maybe it's going to get mad at me, and then it will sort of.
He says try the align tool. Does that work?
I doubt it, because
I doubt it too.
No.
Right? Can you go into modify? It doesn't even have an align.
No. Yeah. No, you can't do anything in the modify
unfortunately. tab. It was a good, I mean, you never know.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think I've definitely used this to make a fake schedule, and you just go, when you make a schedule, you just pick a category that you're not going to schedule in your project.
Absolutely.
I tend to use
like entourage or
mechanical fabrication ductwork because I'm never going to use that schedule. And then that way you just and you literally just pick, like the comments field, and then you get this thing that's just a single, and then you can do whatever. And then you just, turn off the headers, and you just get this, and then you can do whatever you want, and you can type in whatever information you want, and just make your little dumb chart. So yeah.
Well, it is officially 2:00. I hope you guys learned some stuff, because I did. I learned some stuff. Thank you so much for everyone joining today. Make sure that you fill out the survey. Allison posted it in the chat. It's also in the very, very top left of the mural. There is a link there that you can find. So thank you so much, everyone. We will be giving a gift card to one of the participants of the mural next time. So thank you so much. If you did not add your name to the notes, please make sure you do so. Don't go back and change your name to all the notes, though. That wouldn't be cool. See you next month.
All right.